Most men think attraction is built through what they say. The perfect line, the clever joke, the right words at the right time. But the truth is, the most powerful thing you can offer a woman isn't what you say. It's what you don't. Silence. Silence carries weight. It holds tension. It forces presence. And when used with confidence and clarity, it becomes the most seductive tool in a man's arsenal. Because while most men rush to fill the space, trying to impress or entertain, the high-value man allows space to expand, and in that space, she starts to feel him. Silence isn't emptiness, it's energy. It's the calm dominance of a man who doesn't need to perform, a man who can hold a moment, a man who's already full and doesn't need noise to prove it. Let's break down how this works and why it's so magnetic. Silence creates contrast. In a world filled with men who talk too much, explain too often, and chase approval with every word, silence cuts through the noise. It says, "I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to be." This contrast is what draws her in. When you hold silence, you create a vacuum, and human nature hates a vacuum. She wants to fill it. She leans forward. She asks questions. She starts wondering, what is he thinking? Why is he so calm? Why does his presence feel so different? The average man chases attention, but the Stoic man draws it. And he does this not with flashy words, but with grounded stillness. His silence doesn't scream insecurity. It signals certainty. It tells her, "I'm in no rush. I don't need to prove myself. You'll come to me if you're meant to." And that's powerful. Because now, the frame has shifted. She's not reacting to what you say. She's responding to who you are in the silence. Silence is not about being passive. It's about being intentional. There's a difference between awkward silence and stoic silence. One feels like emptiness. The other feels like weight. When a stoic man uses silence, he's doing it deliberately. He's allowing tension to build. He's watching, observing, measuring the energy in the room. He's not filling space out of nervousness. He's letting the moment breathe. Women feel this because silence forces presence, and presence is rare. Most men are too quick to speak, to joke, to flatter. They fear that if they're quiet, she'll lose interest. But the opposite is true. The more comfortable you are with silence, the more magnetic you become. Because it means you're not seeking validation. You're not performing. You're not desperate to be seen. You already see yourself. And in that self-containment, there's power. This is the kind of man she remembers, not because he said the right thing, but because he didn't have to. And before we continue, here's your call to action. If this resonates, subscribe and tap the bell, because what's coming next will make your presence even harder to ignore. If this is hitting different already, subscribe and hit the bell. The next parts go even deeper. When you master silence, something shifts in the interaction. She starts doing the work. Most men are so eager to impress that they carry the entire conversation. They ask all the questions, tell all the stories. They try to keep her entertained. But the Stoic man, he gives her space to show up. He allows her to lean in, to wonder, to invest. Because here's the truth. When you talk too much, you rob her of the chance to feel curious. And curiosity is the first spark of desire. Silence creates contrast. It's the pause that makes your next word matter. It's the gap that makes her reach forward. And in that reaching, attraction builds. It also communicates something else, emotional self-sufficiency. You don't need her energy to feel comfortable. You're already full, already at peace. That's rare. So the next time you're on a date or in a conversation and things go quiet, don't panic. Don't rush to fill the space. Hold it. Let it stretch. Let her feel your steadiness. Because when your silence is rooted in presence, not awkwardness, she starts to feel something deeper than words. She starts to feel you. Silence, when used intentionally, doesn't just create attraction, It creates tension, and tension is the space where desire lives. Most men avoid this. They fear awkwardness. They confuse silence with disinterest. So they fill the air with noise, explanations, jokes, compliments, questions, anything to keep things flowing. But the truth is, real chemistry doesn't live in comfort. It lives in charge. Think about this. When was the last time someone looked you in the eyes and didn't rush to speak? When was the last time a person's calm, unshaken presence made you feel a little unsure, in a good way? That's the energy of mystery, of masculinity, of attraction. When you hold silence, especially after a meaningful statement or during an emotionally loaded moment, you communicate power. It says, I don't fear this. I don't need to explain myself. I'm already grounded. And here's what happens next. She fills the silence. She opens up. She starts wondering what you're thinking. She leans in. Because now she's no longer reacting to your words. She's responding to your energy. And energy, especially when it's steady, calm, and quiet, is what makes you unforgettable. When a man speaks less but means more, every word becomes amplified. This is where silence transforms from a tool into a presence. You stop being the guy she's simply talking to and start becoming the man she feels, even when you're not saying anything. Why? Because she starts projecting onto you. In the space you leave behind, her imagination fills in the blanks. She wonders what you're thinking. She starts reading deeper into your expressions, your body language, the rhythm of your voice when you do speak. And that, right there, is the secret. You're not just controlling the conversation. You're controlling the frame. You're no longer reacting. You're setting the tone. Women are incredibly intuitive. They don't need to be told everything. What they crave is a man who makes them feel, without having to over-explain or overshare. And when you speak with restraint, when your silence is intentional, not awkward, she starts to respect your presence. She knows you don't throw words around, that when you speak, it matters, it lands. Most men try to impress with volume. The Stoic man impresses with depth. And silence? That's where depth is born. Here's the paradox of masculine silence. The less you say, the more she reveals. When you sit with quiet confidence, you create a space that feels safe, but also mysterious. And in that space, she starts to open up. Not because you asked, not because you pushed, but because your stillness gave her room to be seen. This is emotional leadership. She begins to lean in. She fills the silence with her stories, her thoughts, her emotions. And the more she shares, the more connected she feels. Not because of what you said, but because of what you allowed. And through it all, you remain calm, present, anchored. You're not rushing to comfort her. You're not trying to fix or fill the moment. You're simply holding space. And that space, when held with masculine energy, becomes magnetic. This is why silence works. It's not coldness. It's not distance. It's containment. The ability to absorb emotion without getting pulled into it. The ability to lead through presence instead of performance. And women, whether they admit it or not, feel safer, more intrigued, and more attracted to the man who doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Because true power is quiet, and silence, in the hands of a grounded man, becomes the ultimate seduction. When you fully embrace the power of silence, something profound happens. You stop performing, and you start radiating. Women aren't drawn to men who talk the most. They're drawn to the men who feel the most stable, the ones whose silence isn't awkward. It's heavy, intentional, calm, unshakable. This kind of silence says, I'm not here to impress. I'm here to observe, to lead, to be. It flips the script. Suddenly, she's working to impress you. She leans forward, she fills the gaps, she seeks your attention, not because you chased it, but because you withheld it. And that's the core of Stoic seduction. You're not using tactics, you're using presence. You're not manipulating, you're magnetizing. You're not chasing, you're choosing. Because silence, when used by a man who is grounded in himself, does more than words ever could. It makes her wonder. It makes her lean in. It makes her remember how you made her feel, not with noise, but with depth. So the next time you're tempted to fill the space, don't. Let the silence speak for you. Let it carry your confidence. Let it reveal your power. Because the man who masters his silence masters attraction. Stay calm. Stay present. Stay sovereign. This is marble masculinity.